Good morning, y'all. Listen, this is going to be quick because I have a client very shortly, but I was like, I got to get in here. I got to get in here and talk to y'all this morning before we get into the holidays. Thanksgiving is next week, and there's some stuff that I'm here, and I'm feeling it. I'm hearing it coming, and I'm like, okay, wait. Let's address this up front with God and prepare differently this year. So for those of y'all who don't know me, I'm Dr. Andrea Christian Parks. I am a board certified OBGYN, lifestyle med board certified, holistic nutrition, yada, yada, yada. But most of all, I'm a life and weight loss coach. And I personally lost 60 pounds myself using what I teach. So although I will teach you all the things, the neurology and the process of change and the science, everything falls under the lordship of Jesus Christ. And that is why it works. So let's get into it today. I want to, before we get going, I want to remind you, subscribe, hit your notifications, subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of these videos. And for those of you who have been watching, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. And for those of you who are new, what I've been doing is weight loss Bible studies. So weight loss, I promise you, the way to get sustainable, long-term, permanent, successful weight loss is to take your faith and put it into action in this one area, and it starts to touch everything. And then you get the side benefit of weight loss, which is what brings a lot of people to this conversation in the first place. Now, if you've missed stuff I've done, go back, binge it, get it on the YouTube channel, read all the blogs on my website. I'll put the website in there and get caught up. But in any case, equip yourself to be successful as we go forward. Now, I really do want to talk about how we're going to get through this holidays. Thanksgiving is a big food holiday, and I love Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is one of my absolute favorite holidays. And I'm actually, for 17 years, I have cooked for Thanksgiving. And this year, I'm traveling for part of Thanksgiving. And so it's very different. But I love Thanksgiving. And it took me some years to realize, yeah, I love Thanksgiving food, but it's not Thanksgiving food that I love and what makes Thanksgiving my favorite holiday, actually. When I really started to get underneath, like, what do I really love about Thanksgiving? The memories I have, the things I'm trying to create, what I want for my kids. It's not the food. The food is just a fun excuse to get what I really want, which is to be family. And whether that's blood family, extended family, friends, chosen family, whatever it is, whoever you're surrounding yourself with, that's the point of Thanksgiving. It's gratitude and family. And so I wanted to talk about Thanksgiving because what happens for a lot of us is we don't prepare in advance, and then we recreate the same thing year after year. And then we feel a lot of different things, and then we really don't get what we want, which is maybe at the baseline not to gain any weight over the holidays, or maybe it's to actually lose some weight over the holidays, which is 100% possible. It can happen. But you can't do what you've always done and get a different result. So let's talk about that. I think, we've been doing these weight loss Bible studies and talking about how weight loss connects to your faith and to lordship. And if you've missed them, I want you to go back and get some more of them, because you're kind of jumping in the middle of the conversation. I want you to get what came before. All right, let's get started with our study today. I want to talk about your spiritual mindset as we enter the holidays. There's the way we usually think, which generally doesn't tend to be super spiritual, around the meal, the hosting, the traveling, the whatever we're doing. So here's what usually happens. And I want to just point it out, see if it sounds familiar to you. One, there's the parties or the dinners, the food, the preparations, the packing, the whatever we're doing. Okay. So all that hustle and bustle and focus on food and everything leads to overeating. The night of Thanksgiving, the typical thing is you've just been picking all day, a huge plate, food falling off the plate, getting it all in, and then feeling miserable stuff like the turkey yourself, and then you're laying on the couch or you're dragging yourself through the cleanup going, I wish I hadn't eaten so much. Okay, that overeating then leads to guilt, shame. I thought I wasn't going to do it this way this year. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. I wish I hadn't done it this way. That guilt and shame, that emotional environment that we create in our bodies, very corrosive. That leads then to what? More overeating. Because it's like, well, I mean, I've already ruined it. I've destroyed it. It's not going to work. I guess I can't. I'm not going to be successful. And it's just picking, eating cookies, whatever treats that people have brought by, arrangements, whatever. We're just eating everything. Okay, then that then leads to what? More weight gain. It's this cycle. It's this loop. And so, what I want to suggest to you this year is to do this differently, to think differently about this. Create a different sort of plan in your mind about how you're going to approach the situation of whatever you're going to do around food so that you don't get the same result. So I could talk about all the neurology and the science of change and all that kind of thing that leads to why our brains make it easy for us to keep falling into the same patterns. We don't have time today. But we could talk about that another time. Let me know in the comments if that's something you really want to hear more about, because I'm happy to do it. But that whole process of change is that we want to do something different this year. So what are we going to do? I want to say something specific. I think sometimes we miss this. And I don't think we do it on purpose, because I think a lot of us who've been around as Christians a long time, like, we know there's certain things that we need, that are required in our walk as Christians. And then there's other things that we want to change in, and we haven't quite arrived there yet. So let me say this in as clear a way as I can possibly say it. Your eating is not a salvation issue. If you overeat at Thanksgiving, if you find yourself halfway through the bag of cookies, if you find yourself mindlessly eating chips, and you have already said to God, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to be righteous in the way I eat. You've made these promises, and then you find yourself messing up. This is not a salvation issue. It's not. Salvation is about the gift that's freely given from God to save our souls, to secure our place in heaven. Whether you overeat or not doesn't have anything to do with that. Your eating and your stewardship of this body, this temple that you've been given, this falls under a different category. It is under the category of sanctification. You, in your walk, in whatever you do, however you are living, all of that is a process of making you more holy as you live. It's not about your salvation. It's about walking with Jesus in everything. Food is a perfect thing to turn over to God, because you're going to do it every day, probably multiple times a day. And when you do it, you have the chance to offer it over and over and over again on the altar to say, God, help me do this your way, not mine. And so the way you eat is just a small but very mighty way of walking with God throughout your day, every day, day in, day out. Every time you want to eat, you know you're not hungry and you don't need to eat, every single time is an opportunity for you to offer your way before the throne. Now, if you mess up, and I need you to hear this, because the guilt and the shame that come from making mistakes and overeating, all that kind of stuff, that part comes from, oh, I did it wrong, God's mad at me. God still loves you. God still has saved you. If you have done where you have come, repented, put yourself before God, accepted the gift, and you have done things the Bible's way of telling you to do it to be saved. If you mess up over the holidays, okay, it's a mistake. Get up. Let's keep going. Let's try again. Let's talk to God about this. Let's find out which way he wants you to go next. Jesus is still on the throne, even if you overeat. Your place in heaven is still secure. You don't have to do that to yourself. All that guilt and shame does is keep you in this unexitable loop that you just keep repeating the same problems over and over again. So let me give you a couple scriptures and I'm a bounce. 1 Corinthians 10:31. Whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all to the glory of God. Okay, hold on to that one. You make a mistake, get up, try again. And again, and again. Remember what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 9, verse 27. He said, I beat my body and make it my slave so that when I finish the race, I will not be disqualified. I'm definitely paraphrasing. I'm not reading it. But you know the scripture. Go back. 1 Corinthians 9:27. I want you to hear one more that I want you to imagine what you're going to do in your holiday, how you're going to approach food in your holiday. Okay. And it can be very different. I want you to remember what you've done in the past. I want you to sit down and take a minute, think about it. What have I done in the past? What has worked? What has not worked? And then I want you to imagine doing it differently. You won't create what you can't imagine. You have to think it through, prepare in advance. That's part of how the brain works. It's a mental rehearsal. Think about it. How do you want to do it differently? But the spirit that I want you to take with you is this encouragement. And in Psalm 63, in verses 7 and 8, it says, because you are my helper, I sing for joy in the shadow of your wings. I cling to you. Your strong right hand holds me securely. I want you to see that, and I want you to hold on to that and to rest in the shadow of God's wings, to hold tight to that, to remember that's the position that you get to be in. And then you from there decide what you want to do with your food. I got to go. I got to wrap it up. I want you to decide how you want your holiday to go, but I don't want you to take guilt and fear and shame into your holidays about your eating. Make a decision. Do your best. If you make a mistake, get up and try again. Keep going. You will get there. All right. Last things. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit your notifications, make sure you don't miss any of these videos. Definitely hit the subscribe button. Also, if you need more help on my YouTube, you can download my workbook. On my website, you can download my free ebook. You can binge watch all the binge watch all the videos on YouTube. You can get into all of the blog posts on my website, all of that. And if you are ready to work, you want somebody to walk with you, help keep you accountable, help you get this walk on track, I'm here. Make an appointment on my calendar on my website. All right, y'all. I'll see you next. Actually, I'll do one later this week because of my stuff going on next week for Thanksgiving. I want you to have some more stuff early. So I'll see you in a few days. Bye, y'all.